from the time I can actually remember watching hockey up until 5 years ago, so basically until I was 40 years old, there wasn't a Saturday night I can remember where Don Cherry wasn't on there, the intermission. And, even though some of his takes haven't aged the best, it was always one of my favorite things to watch. Sometimes more than the game, if you were at a party, sometimes you'd have the TV on mute during the game with music on in the background, and then Coach's Corner would come on. You'd actually stop the music and turn the volume on to listen to what Don had to say.
Yeah, like you'd hear that Coach's Corner theme song come on.
Coach's Corner with Ron McLean and Don Cherry.
And you knew you had, 15 seconds because they'd always take a quick commercial and then come back to go and, grab a beer or go to the bathroom. And you're right, his ideas maybe don't translate to 2025, but I could give two shits about the intermission now, but I always made a point to watch because I love the back and forth between him and McLean because he wouldn't put up with Ron McLean's bullshit and his stupid punny outros. Like you could see the disgust on his face. Yeah. The guy was just as important to the broadcast as the games were, I thought.
What I miss the most is just having one guy with a dynamic personality sort of leading that, or that 1-2 punch with him and McLean, versus now it's just so watered down with so many people on that broadcast. Nobody really saying anything that compelling. Like, love him or hate him, he was interesting. He was saying something that you either agreed with or disagreed with, and it was fun. It was entertaining.
And in like 1988 or 1989, I can't remember what year, but what kid didn't get Rock'em Sock'em Hockey as a Christmas gift?
Absolutely. I think I probably watched that VHS 1,000 times. All the quotes. I still remember the Savardian Spinorama and all the different highlights that were in there. Tip of the cap to Grapes for a run, almost a 40-year run on Coach's Corner. Pretty unprecedented and probably something we'll never see again in terms of that impact on broadcasting. I had Wendell Clark for this one. If he played now, if he was healthy, he'd be a 50-goal guy and also be able to go toe-to-toe with any heavyweight in the league. That was the era where there was the true heavyweights that were just straight goons. We don't really have that as much in the league. I think he could handle himself with a Tom Wilson, and still the hands, seeing the toe drags that he was doing and that backhand roof job, I think he'd be maybe the most all-around dominant player in the league right now.
I 100% agree. He would be making 10, 12 million bucks a year right now, because every team would want a guy like that.
Michel Goulet's mustache. That thing was like a complete duster. He had the Jofa helmet on and that nice, thick, dark mustache.
And he's like 27, but he looks like he could be a 50-year-old car salesman. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah, it's funny because every time I saw it, I don't know if it's just the name Michel Goulet and then the mustache, but I'm like, I wanted to make fun of him. Every time he came on the screen and they said it, I'm like, there's something that makes me want to make fun of this guy. But I actually looked it up. I think he finished second to Gretzky in scoring in the NHL that year.
Did he?
I could be wrong, but he had a big...
His stat, his duster had 48 assists, I heard.
Weber got a steal and was in the open court and came down and dunked it. And Billy Packard was furious that they did not call a technical on him.
That should have been a technical foul. I do not understand that call, Jim. Guy hangs on the rim. He's not in any danger. It has not been called all year. It'll be the number one thing I think we'll see enforced.
It wasn't even that egregious. He was just running so hard that if he wouldn't have hung on, he would have like almost done a backflip off the rim. And I just thought it was funny how mad he got. I was like, that's classic old school white guy announcer.
100%. And it seemed like he was waiting for that because he wasn't on that rim for more than a half second and he was already, oh, look at this. They should give him a technical for that.
I can't believe he didn't get a technical. They need to be enforcing this rule better. Yeah, we're going to see you in a few weeks for the bachelor party, so that should be pretty fun.
Yeah, I'm already dreading the hang.
Same here, yeah, but I'll stay focused on the fun part. But Zach, you're on bacon duty, I understand.
That's right.
And how do you decide what the right amount of bacon is for 18 guys at a cottage for the weekend?
Well, I think we're aiming for 22 pounds, so I think that should be good. Roughly a pound per person seems
Yeah.
reasonable.
This was kind of prime time, but also the swan song for the Jofa helmet. Because we had Huddy, McSorley, and Gretzky out there all rocking that old school Jofa. And I'm pretty sure it was shortly after this that that was it for the Jofa helmets.
Yeah, good call on that. I noticed a lot of them out there. Not sure how many concussions they were protecting guys against, but definitely a last hurrah for Jofa helmets. So that's a good call. Honestly, you could watch that game and be like, that was almost as good as watching like a game in modern times. The goalies, on the other hand, they look like a fish out of the water. They're kicking their legs out all over the place. They're out of position constantly. There's so much net to score or to shoot at. Just the art of goaltending has evolved significantly since those days.
Massively. And they're so little. Like that was the biggest thing. Like, I don't know, it looked like Grant Fuhr's head barely went over the crossbar. And now you watch, most of these goalies, you're lucky if you're getting a corner to shoot at. I couldn't get over how small he was.
Yeah, I mean, the pads and the equipment are bigger now, so I would give them that. But just the fact that, like, the butterfly didn't exist, or even really going down didn't exist. Everything was like a big leg kick out. So you were either making a highlight film save, or you were, the puck was going in.
It's like they were teaching him to send the rebounds back out to the blue line with all these checks. It was so bad.
I'm giving an F to LeBron James. It would be lower if I could actually think of a lower grade than F, but I don't know if you saw this week when they lost to Minnesota and ended their season, the flop that he did. I'll just set the scene. So a rebound comes off and LeBron's turning to his left. So LeBron's 6'9", 250, and he runs into Dante DiVincenzo, who's 6'4", 200 pounds. He dropped like a sniper. Sniper just took him right out. I don't know if you've ever seen those videos of the fainting goats where they're just running and all of a sudden they'll just face plant into the ground. That's what he looked like. And it's just so embarrassing. Like, just stand up. And then he's looking around trying to get a call. And I've had it with the flopping. I saw a thing that every horse in the Derby had bloodlines to Secretariat somehow. Was that accurate? Because if so, he's out there. He must have been doing some major studying back in the day.
Good life for Secretariat there after winning the Triple Crown. He's kind of like the Genghis Khan of horses, because they say, I thought I read something that you could somehow trace like 20% of the world's population back to Genghis Khan. But, he was one of the great rulers of all time. And
apparently one of the great lovers as well.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Hold my beer, Will Chamberlain.
All right, I'm giving an F minus, and that's just because I can't think of a lower grade for the Sportsnet Plus app. So I decided to subscribe for the playoff run and then now into baseball. And I like, from a broadcasting company to put this out, I don't think I've had a worse customer experience than with this fucking thing. It freezes all the time. It's constantly buffering. And then just 2 days ago, they decide to increase the price by 30%. I'm assuming because they got to pay for the NHL rights that they just bought. But it's just a nightmare to use. And how you justify increasing the price with such a poor product, I'll never know. So F minus for Sportsnet.
Speaking of harmonicas, I just saw that Bob Dylan movie with Timothy Chalamet, and I wanted to get your thoughts on Bob Dylan. Do you find him overrated, underrated, or rated about properly?
You know what? I think for the time that he was out, I think it was probably great. I'm not gonna lie, I don't put on any Bob Dylan. When we went to the Bob Dylan concert and 7 songs in, I couldn't tell you what one of the songs was that he played because it was just absolutely a fucking word salad coming out of his mouth. Like you had no idea what he was even saying. I wouldn't say he's overrated because the guy's obviously one of the greatest songwriters of all time. It's just maybe not my thing. What are your thoughts?
I kind of felt the same way. I thought it was a good movie. I think you had to be around in the 60s to appreciate what those songs meant at the time. I'm certainly not putting on Mr. Tambourine Man too often to get me fired up. There's a few songs that squeak into my chill playlist that I still like. I'm a big Girl from the North Country guy. I like that with a little Johnny Cash in there.
Feed on these motherfuckers, homie. Come on. Take them, gut them, and take out his organs. The smorgasbord him, the more important he is. I'm toe tagging his beat. Turn him to chicken chowder, dip him in some sniffing powder, season him with gasoline and throw his ass in the grease. Mention my name in the record, I'ma come get you lyrically, then eventually I'ma take it.
Let's start with some coaching shakeups. We talked about Tocchet potentially being out in Vancouver on our last episode. He is officially gone. That didn't take long. The GM with another weird press conference sounding like an insecure lover talking about how Quinn Hughes didn't call him back right away after the news.
Yeah, well, I hope he's playing golf because he usually returns my calls right away, and I called him within half an hour after I talked to Rick. So he hasn't called me back yet.
Things just going from bad to worse here in Vancouver.
That whole second press conference was one of the most bizarre things I think I've ever seen. Like you were saying, it was like someone's girlfriend won't call him back and now he's pouting. And then the word comes out that Tocchet turned down $25 million to stay there. Like how shitty is it that you're willing to just say I'm out? I got another F for the new CBA agreement for the NHL, and just one specific part. So the players are not allowed to endorse cannabis or tobacco products, which, whatever, I get. But it's totally okay to roll these guys out into every single gambling commercial that you can absolutely think of. And the worst one, and the one that drives me nuts the most, is the one where Connor McDavid's sitting on a couch telling his buddy about the gambling tools they have for problem gambling.
Dude, did you know BetMGM has responsible gambling tools so you don't get carried away? I never get carried away.
Like, I know that's the first thing every gambler looks into. Well, what kind of resources do they have if shit gets out of control here? Like, it's just so stupid. Anyways, I just thought that was sort of hypocritical. Like, let's pump every single other addiction is no good, but let's get everybody into debt. So another F for the CBA.
But it's safe though, Charlie, because when you log on to your gambling site, it has that yes/no question of whether you're fit to gamble. And I'm sure everybody that's got a serious gambling addiction always clicks no on that, right?
I love that.
Gambling. Keep gambling.
I'm giving Derek Lalonde a C-. We're sitting here in the most exciting time of the year, playoff time. We have these intense games. We switch to intermission. Derek Lalonde comes on, and it's like watching paint dry here. His monotone voice breaking down these plays. I don't get it. They bring on a guy that brings the energy down by 80 or 90% when there's tons of great TV personalities out there. How this guy got the job, I will never know. That's why I'm giving a C- to Derek Lalonde. When I was watching Rory McIlroy at the Masters and see him almost blow it this weekend, it actually kind of reminded me of the Leafs, where they've had a great team, great chance to win it so many years in a row, but when the moment finally comes, it's almost like something between the ears. As soon as they get some negative momentum going, and the bounces aren't going their way, you can just feel the whole team start to think, here we go again. But I don't know, where's your head at with this series?
So normally that would be my exact thought, is any little bit of adversity is going to rip this team down. And I know this is probably the dumbest thing I think I've ever said, but I just think this Leafs team's different. And I know people have been saying that for the last decade or so, but I just think it's a better coach. I think they're a little more battle tested now.
Another tradition I think we can drop is the gift exchange at the start of the game. I thought that was so unusual. You got this hatred, they got 3 fights the first game, this huge rivalry coming up, and then before the game, they call Crosby and Matthews up to exchange gifts in this international tradition. And they're not even good gifts. They're these little, mini banners about 1.5 feet high. It looks like something you'd get at Walmart or something. I don't even think I'd put it up in my own rec room, and it felt funny, like neither of them wanted to be there. I feel like that's either get a good gift or just, why are you giving your opponent a gift before you're going to try and kick their ass? I don't get that.
What the fuck just happened?
I don't know if you saw the video of Mitch getting welcomed to Vegas, putting the jersey on. You're in Vegas. If you're going to do some sort of welcome thing, you're expecting something with a little sizzle to it. He's in an office surrounded by printers and cubicles and just a bunch of staff that looked like they kind of got forced in there to just stand up and cheer for him. It looked very awkward. There's some cheerleaders there, but it's in an office setting.
It was like Michael Scott orchestrated the welcome party. It was that weird, awkward, and you could tell even he didn't know what to do.
Welcome to Vegas, eh?
You touched on that hot dog eating contest. Jimmy Chestnut, I think he won his Joey Chestnut. Sorry, yeah, Joey Chestnut. He ate 70.5 hot dogs in 10 minutes. Now, it's a nice day out there. You could get the grill going here, get a few dogs on there. How many do you think you could eat in 10 minutes if you really had to test yourself?
I don't even think I could do 10. I like a hot dog. Maybe, I think the most I've had this year would be 3, but I can't see myself making double digits. How about you?
Yeah, I thought maybe if they were red hots, you could get 7 or 8 down in 10 minutes. Obviously it wouldn't be pleasant. You'd just be stuffing yourself. I think Leafs fans don't actually want them to win the Stanley Cup. I think the pain of losing has become such a part of their identity. It's like that self-sabotage type of thing where you've got the opportunity to change your behavior, but you keep sabotaging yourself. It almost felt like a sense of relief in a weird dysfunctional way after Game 5 when you see everybody can now say, there we are. We told you so. We need to break these guys up. They don't care. They can't do it. And whether they can or they can't, it remains to be seen. But if you're a fan of a team, shouldn't you be the one that's supporting them when everybody else is doubting them?
Sometimes it may be good. Sometimes it may be shit.
When did it not become okay to just lay a solid open ice hit on a guy? It's one of the parts of the game I absolutely can't stand right now is a guy lays somebody out, perfectly clean hit, open ice check, and next thing you know, he's got 3 guys from the other team attacking him, or in this case, Peterson laid a nice hit on Kadri. It was perfectly clean. Instantly, Zary just catches him from behind, jumps into him, and elbows him. When I used to play minor hockey, if you got steamrolled in an open ice check, you'd come back to the bench and the guys were laughing. You'd be getting chirped from your own teammates. So it was almost like a respect to the other team. Yeah, that was a good hit. Now in the NHL, anytime there's even a hard hit of any kind, even if it's a clean one, they're either dropping the gloves or they're getting cross-checked in the face after, and do not like that.
I totally agree.
Do you know how easy this is for me? Do you have any fucking idea how easy this is? This is a fucking joke. And I'm sorry you can't do this. I really am, because I wouldn't have to fucking sit here and watch you fumble around and fuck it up.
I'm going to go with Barry Melrose's mullet as what's aged the best. It's kind of come full circle where he was a trendsetter at the time, and now mullets have come back. I think he would just step in today's world with that epic mullet. But what surprised me about the mullet is I didn't remember how long the hair went. Like, it was actually down past his shoulders. He really leaned into that thing, and I don't know if there was a lot of mullets of that length and in those days.
It was definitely aggressive. There's a couple shots where he's on the bench, and I thought the same thing. I'm just like, man, that's years of dedication to that hairstyle.
All right, I'm going B plus for Jacob Chikrin, and he just signed a huge contract there with Washington. But actually, what caught my attention was a story that came out when Dylan Strome said that he only uses candles in his house, and I thought that's kind of interesting. It kind of intrigued me, and now it's got me wanting to stock up on my beeswax, get some candles, and try a few candlelight evenings here at my place. See how that affects the circadian rhythm. See if I get a good night's sleep and set a nice vibe here in the home. I love the idea. I only gave it a B plus because I don't know how sustainable it is, but going straight candles, pretty cool idea.
I got some numbers here I wanted to go through with comparing Gretzky and Ovechkin. Okay. It was actually pretty interesting. So they both played, Ovi's played 1,468 games, Wayne played 1,487. So pretty close. Okay, so both of them had 950 goal or more seasons, which I thought was pretty neat. But this is the one that surprised me the most, because I would have thought Gretzky would have been more of a power play goal merchant. But yeah, Ovechkin actually has 116 more power play goals than Gretzky, 320 to 204, which that actually really surprised me, especially, back in the 80s. You thought Oilers would have been scoring 6-7 power play goals a game.
I got an A plus for AC/DC. So we're like 50 plus years into this band's career. And when we were at the Knights game, we were sitting there and it was heading into the third and the crowd was kind of dying. And all of a sudden they started playing Thunderstruck, a song I've heard, 1,000 times.
Thunderstruck! Thunderstruck!
And I was just sitting there thinking, like, holy shit, these guys, maybe they set out to do it, maybe they didn't, but they've just written the best arena songs and pump-up songs for decades. And then I started thinking, like, my son's hockey team listens to these guys still today in the dressing room to pump them up. And that kind of longevity is kind of crazy, and hell of a run for the Stadium Rockers. So A plus for AC/DC.
I'm going to give it A plus to Crosby and Macklin Celebrini at the World Championships. Even though we lost a big upset to Denmark, seeing the clips of those two working together on face-offs and different aspects of the game, and just seeing the ear-to-ear smile on Celebrini being around Crosby, seeing Crosby being around these young guys, it's just such a cool thing to see. Captain Canada, passing some of that information and experience on to the young guys that are going to be coming up, and might be Celebrini 10 years from now wearing that C. And so it's kind of cool to see that transition and that type of thing going on at the World Championships. So A plus.
My shoulder doesn't hurt very much, but my face does. Right here. Not here or here so much, but right here.
Well, before we get to that handshake line was probably the most emotional thing I've seen in hockey since, for me, Edmonton losing last year. But man, it was getting a little dusty in our living room as he's going down the line. And the one that most stood out was Mason Marchment, whose dad also died recently, and they just having an embrace and, kind of talking it out. And even Jamie Benn, who we kind of ripped, just letting them know, hey, we're here for you. It was pretty cool to see.
Yeah, I think that's one of the best traditions in hockey, is that handshake line where you just beat the shit out of each other for 6 or 7 games and then show that kind of respect. And with everything that happened with Scheifele there, it just added to the emotion of the whole experience.
And I can't say enough good things about Calvin Pickard. Like, what a story. This guy's played for 13 years. I'm going to run down the teams that he's played for. Edmonton Oilers, Bakersfield Condors, Detroit Red Wings, Grand Rapids. He played in Austria for a year. Arizona Coyotes, Tucson Roadrunners, Philadelphia Flyers, Toronto Marlies, Toronto Maple Leafs, Colorado Avalanche, the Henderson Silver Knights, and the Cleveland Monsters. And he's the only goalie in the playoffs now that's undefeated. It's a pretty remarkable story.
I'm giving Gavin McKenna's goal last week an A+. Now, I feel like I'm part of the Gavin McKenna fan club here, working on his public relations team. But if you haven't seen the goal, look it up on YouTube. Part Gretzky, part McDavid, all filth.
One shorthanded with speed. Pacheco the trailer. McKenna, what a move! Gavin McKenna, mastery from Gavin McKenna. Highlight of
able to make that move on. Unbelievable play on Lucas Dragosevic. I mean,
amazing goal. Maybe one of the best goals I've seen all year. That's why I'm giving Shoe Beers, aka Shoeies, an F. I think this is just one of the dumbest things around. I put it right up there with April Fool's Day. I saw people doing it in the stands at the Frozen Four. I've seen it more and more at golf tournaments and things like that. I just don't get it. Let's take this beer in a perfectly good can or glass and pour it into a disgusting sweaty shoe and chug it back. I just don't get I don't get that. If one of my buddies was doing that, I would be like, man, what are you doing with your life right now? I could just never see a point where I would find that funny or worthwhile doing. So that's why I'm giving Shoeies an F.
I don't know if you saw the post-game interview stuff with McDavid after they put Vegas out.
I mean, how many times are we going to answer this question, really? Like, honestly, that's frustrating that we keep talking about this. We can defend. We can.
And he's just like in full robot mode. It reminded me of Kobe Bryant when they were up 2-0, I think, against the Celtics, and he just kept saying, "Job's not done, job's not done." I don't know if this guy has any joy in his life at all. And maybe it's all going to come out if they do end up winning it. But it's crazy to see somebody who's obviously the best at something be that laser focused, even in a moment of something you accomplish.
It'll be interesting if he gets a cup this year, if we'll see like a little bit of a cheerier side of McDavid in those press conferences.
Well, hopefully it shuts a lot of people up.
Next year, I think he's just on such a mission. He's kind of got bringing that Mamba mentality that we saw with Kobe, but it'd be tough to be one of those scrum reporters after the game trying to get a decent soundbite out of McDavid.
We'll go with a D for the running of the bulls in Spain. So shockingly, I'm flipping through social media and I see a headline, 2 gored and 12 injured in running of the bulls. And I'm just like, these people should not receive any medical care whatsoever. Like, if you're that stupid, right? I'm sure you've seen the videos of these people, and it's not like the bull is going to ease up, right? Like, he's taking you out. So I just think that whole thing is unbelievably stupid, and I don't get it. So I'm giving it a D.
And a goring, that has to be one of the worst injuries you could receive, right? Like a giant puncture wound right through your body. I can't think of too many more unpleasant injuries to get than a good goring.
I believe this guy got a gore through the armpit, so I can only imagine it'd be a tough day at work on Monday.
I'm going with a D for spin classes at the gym. Now, I'm not opposed to getting in a good workout, and me myself, I kind of got off my exercise routine and indulged a little bit more over the wedding and the week after the cabin, so I've been trying to get back into the routine again. So I'm at the gym the other day. I'm just on the treadmill doing a little bit of a cool down, trying to watch a YouTube video. There's this spin class going on. It's 30 feet away from the treadmill I'm on. It's like a fucking Skrillex concert going on in there. They've got the music blasting so loud that I have my noise canceling headphones on and I still can't hear the YouTube video that I'm trying to watch. The instructor in there sounds like Prime Axl Rose. I know. Guys in their mid-40s aren't the target audience for those spin classes, but I'm giving it a D because that's annoying as fuck.